That truck's had a rough day, and so has my camera angle. We'll get this worked out. Everybody's doing good. You know, nobody's really got time for this kind of stuff. But we got to do what we can do. We got to get the intel out. So just so you know what's happening. It's gotten kind of crazy. They think that they can control us. We're a bunch of lab rats. Basically, you know, the whole thing really is test trials. This has never been tested before, so it's illegal to force someone to be part of a test trial. And I don't know what ever happened to Hippocrates, who was considered to be the father of modern medicine, who taught different procedures. And you know, back then they had to basically learn a lot of stuff from the library in Egypt. A lot of the people, because in different countries, they you know, they didn't believe in opening up the human body. So armies would actually send some of their medics there and say, hey, go and learn this anyhow, you know, to save lives, even though it was against religion at the time to open up a human body and do surgery. So, but anyhow, but back to Hippocrates is a little something different. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, the Hippocratic Oath, basically, he says, as a doctor, you must take an oath to do no harm. Okay, that went out the door basically when people started doing really bad, botched cosmetic surgeries. So with all the bad cosmetic surgeries that have happened, people that wind up looking like a lion or a cat or something, there's pictures on the internet. You know, I don't have to describe them, but their lips are like all out of whack. It doesn't happen all the time, but that was the start of it all. Truly, they broke the Hippocratic Oath because they did some harm there. So the Hippocratic Oath is supposed to be do no harm. So if there's a surgery that someone comes to a doctor and says, hey, I'd like to have this surgery, if they know it's going to harm them, they're not allowed to do it. Okay? Keeps the crazy people from adding an extra arm or something, you know, funky, right? But they're doing this, you know, this jab. I'm gonna try to keep my words straight too. You see the title. I'm gonna try to be particular about the words I use. So here's what I'm gonna do. There is a company right now. This company sells chicken product, okay? And this company, it rhymes with niacin, okay? And they have now mandated that all of their employees, including truck drivers, must take the jab. We're calling it the jab, okay? That right now, they are going to make their people be part of this thing that has proven to kill people, and also has been proven that the efficacy is not there. So two different problems. The jab itself is deadly, and all of us truck drivers have pre-existing conditions. The first pre-existing condition is we live on this planet, okay? Living on this planet, you're breathing in air that's not clean. Second pre-existing condition, most of us smoke, which I smoke cigars. Doesn't matter though. A lot of these guys, they smoke heavily, chain smoking. The third pre-existing condition is they're a little overweight. Not all, it's not grotesquely, just saying, if you're sitting in a chair and you're shifting gears, I don't even shift gears now. I done got lazy, you know? So here's the thing. We all have pre-existing conditions. And so we are all prone to dying from either the jab or definitely the I will have to call it the let's see, the level 4 bioweapon, That's what I'm going to call it on here. The level 4. I'll try to remember. I might have to write this down. Level 4. If I'm going to be using the codes here, level 4 bioweapon, and then I'm writing this down, people, and then the jab. So this company is requiring that by September 1st. I'll read your comment here. Let's see here. Children being taken in Australia. Meanwhile, Canadian proven court case that COVID has never been isolated. Yeah, and of course it would. You know, here's the thing. They let it in on a cruise ship in New Jersey. I knew it was going to go to New York because people in New Jersey work in New York, and then it's going to come right back to New Jersey because the trash from New York goes to New Jersey, and it's dumped there. And the trash haulers, they would have to have like a biosuit around the whole trailer so that that stuff's not airing out. It was going to be everywhere, and they knew it, so they wanted it to go ahead, and they're only opening up the economy to not overwhelm the hospitals. When the hospital gets overwhelmed, then they slow it down. Oh, everybody stay home, wear a mask. And then, okay, now go out and spread it. Now come back. They're going to kill off who they can kill off. And then if you live through it, you live through it. If you die from it, you die from it. That is the policy and has been from the start. They knew it was a bioweapon. Now, it was supposed to be genetically designed to kill our DNA here in the U.S. However, they were sold an ill bill of goods, and it was actually designed to kill more of the Chinese DNA. Plus, they eat noodles and they're low on vitamin D, and so a lot of them died, millions and millions. They've proven it with the phones that everybody has to have a phone in China so they can be tracked. But not just tracked, but so that they can they live off a credit system. You walk across against a red light and you're not supposed to walk across the road, you get demerited, if you call it that, like demerits, like you get points taken away, and eventually like in no time flat. If you buy potato chips and wine at the grocery store, even though it's there for sale, you lose social credits is what they call it. And then at some point, very quickly, you can't even take the transit system, and then you won't be able to work at certain places and all this stuff. So they have 15 cameras on their red lights. We have 2. We do more with 2. That's the only thing. Who does it better? Probably us. That's the truth of it. So they got some facial recognition software everywhere, you know. Here's the thing. With that, once it was let out, and there was a military plan in China to let it out. One of the generals even talked about it, an ex-top general and another one, saying that yes, there was a plan to release it, and that would be one way that they could go up against their enemies, that their level could be brought up, they figure, as a world power. But then it happened, and now they're just like, oh, we ain't gonna say a whole lot because this, but they're still wanting to take over Taiwan, even though that they know we would step in at that point. They consider it to be theirs from the get-go. Now they got Hong Kong back, and they weren't supposed to do anything with people in Hong Kong. Supposed to remain free. That was part of the deal. What did they do? They went in there and they rounded up everybody and took them to jail until further death or notice or whatever in China. They put them in mainland China. So until court do them death or part or whatever. So here's the thing. Right now this company that rhymes with Nyson, that has chicken product, basically has said that everyone in one part of their company has to be vaccinated by September 1st. Another group, all the people in the warehouses and that work in the factory, have to be vaccinated by October 1st. Okay? This is, or they lose their job kind of thing. So this is forced vaccination. Then, jab. We're going to use the word jab. Just a jab. And then, if you don't take the jab, also the next tier is the truck drivers. So by November the 1st, all of the truck drivers have to take the jab or they get fired. So it's already all over the interstate. Forget the news. The news doesn't talk about this kind of stuff. On CB radio, channel 19, talk to a Nyson driver, okay? Or anybody that even, because they're going to, after this, try to require anyone who goes into those plants as a truck driver to have it. Now, I've already heard from every driver, oh, I ain't going to do it, I'm gone. And that's, you know, you should hear these guys. The explicit lyrics, I'm just saying, I can't use people. They're telling it, and they're like, you know, forget this and forget that about it all. It's not, the truckers are not going to take this. They already know that when the Army had those people that had to have shots, and they took a shot, and that come back, and it was really bad health-wise, there was that, okay? We're talking all kinds of vaccines, but then there was the anthrax vaccine, then there was another vaccine, and then there's Gulf War syndrome, and all. Going into all of it, let's be real, people are freaking aware that things that they are told to do are not good for them. And having said that, I'm fixing to light a cigar, something that's not good for me. I'm gonna do it anyway. This is not the jab. This is not gonna take me out in 10 days of my heart exploding. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on with you know, that's the real. Well, anyway, that is the first company that has anything to do with trucking that I've heard is going to try to push this. Now, there's going to be a mass exodus from that company that rhymes with Nyson. I'm just telling you, this is just what I heard. So, hey, it could have just been scuttlebutt. It could have just been freeway talk. You know, check it out. Maybe I'm wrong. But I was hearing it from quite a few drivers in different areas. I was like, what? So, yeah, they done lost their mind. They can keep it. They can give it to somebody else. And everybody I know and everybody I don't know is like, what? They'll go drive somewhere else. They will drive somewhere else and drive somewhere else until it's the last. But here's the thing. They're going to be requiring it to outside carriers coming into facilities. So no longer is it that you can just sit in your truck and here's this and this, I guess, at that place. So here's where I'm at on it. That's forcing it. That's not, like, okay, if you're in the medical field, it's almost understood that some of the stuff, like, you know, I mean, you already got to have MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, and you got to have, you know, some of them say, you know, okay, it's a good idea to get smallpox or this, that, or whatever, because there's some resurgence to some of this stuff. These are people in the medical field that are around it all the time. If they want to take it, they're usually allowed to or whatever. But then they mandated that they take it. Well, now this is a different situation. You got a bunch of roughneck truck drivers that really do not care about your political leanings, about who you voted for. They could care less. And they look at it like, you want me to do that? You asking the wrong person. Trying to control a truck driver is like trying to control a wildfire that's already spread over 10 states by taking a shot glass of water and pouring on it and saying, now you be nice. That's about the truth. I'm just bringing the truth. So if you're in media, you just learned something. If you're in the medical field, you just learned something. If you're part of the group that's making money off the jab, you just kind of learned something. We're not buying. You don't need to sell that here. We're not buying. This is the truth. It won't have to come from me. I'm not the spokesperson. I'm just telling you what's up. You could peddle your wares somewhere else. We're not buying. I'm not buying. I don't know anybody that wants to buy. So, if you are inclined to take the jab and you want to become a truck driver, there's a nice company, rhymes with nice, and may very well be that this is true and that this is what they're requiring. May very well be the place for you. Bring all your friends. They're going to need help when there's a max. I've been told there's going to be a mass exodus from that company for real. And if they can't even get outside carriers in there, so I don't know what they're trying to pull, but it's my understanding it already went out in a memo, already went out in everything, and it's happening, and that's what's popping. So, people, I don't have to tell you your opinion if you're a trucker. I already know the reason you're out here is for freedom. The reason that you became a truck driver is you were tired of the crockery of the 9 to 5 where you kill a car, don't make enough for a pack of smokes, and you get talked down to by people that have 2 more weeks of college than you had and wound up smoothing into a job because somebody's cousin is their friend or that's their family business. Seriously. And that's the only one around that you can work at that pays any kind of a wage. So you went to driving a truck and you make money. There's freedom, open road, you stop where you want to, nobody's leaning over you. And now if you have to use a restroom, use a restroom. Well, we push ourselves. We do push ourselves a bit. We know we're the supply line. We're the backbone of America. We're the supply line. Now I'm gonna tell you to the average Joe worker that is not a truck driver, they are trying to mess with your supply line, because doing this is going to cause massive pushback. Like, I can't even describe how many forums are going to take this video and this knowledge and go research it because they hadn't put it out. You ain't going to see this on, channel, 3, 7, 2, 11, 5, 36, 42, 79. You're not going to see this in any news, but it's there. And they're all going to try this crap. But it starts with this. And it's always going to be, well, a liberal leaning, CEO or this or that or whatever. They can think what they want. They can be bought off by whatever lobby of the jab they want and make millions just for pushing this in their own company, whatever. But it will be to their own detriment in the same way that it was to a certain coffee company's detriment not to give coffee to the troops. It was to another company that was a store. It was to their detriment that they had a copy of the Quran and not a copy of the Bible. It was, all these different companies have done stupid stuff along the way, and it has been to their detriment. This is one thing that may even ruin the place, because truckers aren't born every day, and once they lose them drivers, I don't want them to. I wish they would turn around 360 and say, hold on, we heard from this guy that there might be a mass exodus from our, and we're going to lose drivers. We don't want to do that. Before we do that, we don't want to do it. And they kind of might want to just leave the trucker out of this. You do what you want with your people that do whatever, and if they want to buy into it, whatever. Straight up, I don't think anybody should be forced to take the jab just to have a job. They didn't sign up for that when they first got the job. It should not be a requirement. And it doesn't stop the spread, because you're an air pump. You're breathing in one place, you're breathing out another, you're spreading it regardless. That makes you a Typhoid Mary. Look up Typhoid Mary, the woman that she went back after killing all those people and started cooking again, and they got typhoid there, and then they finally had to put her in a building, keep her there, and not let her cook or have any kind of a restaurant job. Her name was Mary, and she had typhoid, and she was spreading it to everyone. So, and they were dying, but she had an immunity that made her a carrier, and there was that. So the situation is this. There are companies that have power over you if you live in an area and that is your only job. And if it is that you could die in 10 days after taking the jab, or later get the disease anyhow and you're thinking you're immune, but its efficacy rate is so low it's not even funny, or the Delta variant comes along and takes you out, that company has way too much power over you. That company has your life. Like, that's a matter of life and death. And you might want to consider what you're doing before you do it. I'm gonna say that. But for truckers, we could go get another truck. We could go to the beach and fish for a good hot minute and say forget it and sit it out for a while. People don't know truckers very well. They just don't. They think they know them, but they don't. So, push on the truckers. Cut your own supply line, companies, but this is what's going on. This is the real. You're not hearing it in the news. They don't want to put it in the news. They want incrementally to sell all of these things that they can because they're making money off of it, and kickbacks and kickbacks and kickbacks. And everybody gets rich except the people that are depopulated. I appreciate the like. So I'm telling you what's true. Right now, there will be a mass exodus from that company and any other company that tries to shove it down our throat that we're supposed to take the jab to still work there, because we could care less. Straight up. I'm telling you this from the heart. I'm telling you from me, I don't have to lead nobody. I'm not leading nobody. I'm not even their spokesperson. I'm just the one that has a YouTube channel. The rest of them's on the back row. Someone might be listening to this, having a cigar, saying, yeah, attaboy, tell it. Or they're saying, yeah, he's right. You better listen to him. So if you want the crumbling of the American economy, the fastest way to do it is to tick off the truck drivers. That is the fastest way to do it, because nobody can sit and chill in one spot like a truck driver. I got a bed. I got places. Even if I didn't have this truck, I'll go fishing. Break my heart, I'll call it a vacation. Ain't none of us had a vacation in a good hot minute, and we were running hard. You best believe that this could tip the scales and break the camel's back. You best believe this, because I guarantee it, if they require it for people even going into that place, they just cut their own business throat. They can make all the chicken they want all day long, and it'll pile up in the warehouses, and nobody will get it, and we won't have feelings about it. We're not going to care, because that's not our problem anymore. We'll have a different problem. We'll haul automotive freight. We'll do something completely different. We will haul food for places that make sense, and in the end of it, it will be such a blight on that company, and I hope it's not, because I dig them, but it'd be such a blight on that company that they won't be able to get other people later, because they'll be like, well, you did that. It'll be looked on like the Tuskegee experiment. Like later, they'll be looking at it and saying, well, you did that, who knows what you'll do next, right? Massive layoffs, this and that, lie about your retirement, like a lot do. But here's the thing. They will have a hard time getting people back. It'd be, all I'm saying is this. There's other manufacturers that may profit because they'll be able to move their product when that place won't. Because you can't move your product unless you got 18 wheels and a driver willing to do it. If you really think you got to give somebody a jab to make that happen, you're mistaken. That's the one thing that will make you lose that driver. I'll guarantee it. I'll sign my name next to it. Guaranteed. 100,000%. Yes, I know there's only 100%. I'm saying this is beyond measure. Okay? Infinite. So, there's that. It's not going away, this whole virus. No, they're I'm sure right now scientists are working hard to bring us the next new variant that will kill us all. I'm sure that they're actually designing it right now. It'll be the pumpkin spice flavored COVID variant. It'll taste great going down and less filling when they put you in the ground. This is all I'm saying. They're probably working on it right now. They probably have already invented it. They just hadn't released it yet. And the Delta variant could have come from that. Another level 4 place. All I'm saying is this. There will be an end to the supply chain if they jack with the supply chain. That's throwing a wrench in the works. Don't throw a wrench in the works. Everything's been fine. We've been working. We've been supplying you with the food you need, whether you realize you need it or not. Everything is not sunshines, rainbows, kittens, and unicorns, and electric cars and freaking pancakes. You got to have real food. So for the people that don't understand this, a lot of things come from corn, a lot of things come from grain. Truckers need to move it across the United States. And then you have your proteins like chicken and meat, that are like steaks and pork. And if this is not happening, you can hug all the trees you want to, and you can say, hey, I'm the new CEO of this company. I'm a tree hugger, and I'm gonna make you take this thing that I think is good for the country. You will find out real quick you're dealing with truck drivers. This is a completely different animal. You got in the animals, in the animal kingdom, you have bears that will pretty much, if you just leave them alone, don't poke the bear, and it won't rip you apart. You have the lion, which, contrary to popular belief, it's not the king of the beasts. There are other larger animals. It's the beast of kings. God put that one there. I didn't. It's the beast of kings. So then you also have things like bottom dwellers. We all know what those are in our world, but let's just call them catfish for short. And they'll eat any of the nasty ones. There's this. But in the animal kingdom, very similar to the bear, is the truck driver. A completely different animal. You don't want to poke a truck driver. You just don't. Because it's kind of cutting off the hand that feeds you. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, you definitely don't cut it off. That's kind of stupid. So these places need to become intelligent real fast, or they're going to get an education of a lifetime. And maybe they're trying to ruin the company. I don't know. Maybe they want to do it. Maybe they hate chicken and meat, and it's killing an animal. Okay, great. And so they decided they're going to be a CEO of a company. They're going to tank the company. The fastest way to tank a company is to require that the truck drivers take the jab. Because like I said, you can have a warehouse full of people making chicken parts into something that looks edible and package it all day long. But if you ain't got a truck driver to haul it, you don't exist. Especially if you're requiring it of outside carriers. That's where they really messed up. So the scuttlebutt is, like I said, it's a chicken manufacturer. The name rhymes with Nyson, and I'm just being for real. I'm not even saying it's the only one. There's fixing to be a mass exodus. So I'm gonna talk about something else for a minute. Okay. So there is a conspiracy theory that has made the rounds all over the internet in certain places. But most people haven't heard about it because modern media is kind of scared to even touch anything that has to do with the Insurrection Act, the powers of the government, this kind of stuff. And they definitely don't want people thinking that Trump is still president. I'm going to say this much. This is just theory, and this is just what has gone around the internet. This is not my opinion, but it is very entertaining. So I'm going to say this. You'll find it to be entertaining, but don't expect it to be factual. Okay. There are rumors that basically President Trump, before he left office, which one thing is true, 20 days before he left office, he appointed all new members of different offices. Okay. One of them, I think he was a former Secretary of State, and I know he wrote a book, and his book was on this, so you could check that out. But for him to be leaving office, and it happened so last minute that the media couldn't even report on it, couldn't even figure it out. They just didn't say much about it. But the guy that he appointed, though, had a book that dealt with a continuance of government under an insurrection type of situation. Devolution. So if you look up the word devolution right now, you're probably going to find a lot about it. It's not de-evolution, it's devolution. Just one E. So it's been talked about in Europe as they get rid of Brexit, get rid of the European Union that they were part of as far as with Brexit. And they're saying that, you know, what would happen with each country and all this. They're not talking about it at all. It's blacked out for the United States. It's just blacked out. This video might even be blacked out because of it. So I'm just telling you what it's about, though. Devolution of what they're saying that we are under devolution right now. They're saying that before Trump left office, that he put into motion a way for the government to continue under a few certain people and the military because of the election being stolen and being affected by China. And they have packets of information where China sent false ballots and this kind of thing and results to the computers. There was a certain type of computer system that was taking votes, and it was all the key states that got them, and that machine was compromised, and they've proven it in a few states. And so now they're saying they should check all of them. I think that the only way that he could make things happen was to step aside. But this theory, though, is that legally he will be put back into office because it was illegally taken, and that they're saying that Biden's not allowed anywhere near the Pentagon, which is fine probably for him. He's probably happy with his crayons and his color. All I know is that it's like that. That's how they feel about it, is what these people are saying. And there's all these videos pictures of them doing green screen in front of, with Kamala Harris at the bottom of, with fake Air Force officers that aren't completely in uniform and that are not saluting and they're not acting right in a way that, you know, it's not becoming of an officer, and they're out of uniform. And so they're there at the bottom of steps. I put some pictures up already on my community on this channel of a green screen that's in front of a door for a fake Air Force One that is just a nose cone and only goes back so far. So they're supposed to walk up there, wave or something, and then I guess walk back down, and there's some kind of a video that makes it look like they're getting on Air Force One, when really, if you zoom out, you see the true picture. There's also, they say, and there's a guy that's on here that's Monkey Works, and it's WERKS or WERKZ, something like that, or ORKZ, something like that. Monkey Works. He's always tracking airplanes and telling, because he was in security for certain people doing certain things, and they took special planes and did certain things. So he has inside intel, and he can tell you, you know, certain flights, hey, this is probably, you know, legal eagles going to Guantanamo Bay to, you know, go there and come back, and then there's flights out of Guantanamo Bay and all this stuff. And he's thinking that they're trafficking, doing sex trafficking and taking people on airplanes, taking them to certain places and even some bases and stuff. I don't know what all that's about, and some are illegals. He's watching that like a hawk. What I do know is, before even finding his channel, Texas Rattler told me that basically every time Biden gets on Air Force One, instead of calling it, like when Kennedy got on Air Force One, before he was on the plane, they called it 26,000. When he got on the plane, the call sign was Air Force One, because the president's on board. Every time Biden and by the way, when Trump got on board, it was Air Force One. When Biden gets on board, they're always calling it NA. So there's that. Okay. And now NA can be for super secret flight stuff. No. Not for this. They always called it Air Force One. It's to let other air traffic know, hey, you get out of the way of that one. You'll get shot down by a jet fighter before you can even, you know, set your altimeter, right? Well, okay. So basically, they're putting him as NA, non-applicable. And then it was said that someone told him he need not even come nowhere near the Pentagon. I don't know if that's true, but also that when him and Kamala Harris went to the White House, and they're saying that all the videos that he's taken at the White House were fake, that they're all done at Tyler Perry's mini White House in Atlanta, Georgia. So I don't know how they're going to fake a Christmas tree on Christmas. That's going to be the big one. They're going to have to really green screen that or something, or show an old one or something. There's that. That's going to really show the truth of that. But they're saying that the White House grass hasn't been cut in forever, that there's troops that have locked the gate, the Marines had locked the gate, and that it's being held for its rightful occupant. Now, this is why it's very interesting and very, I don't know, it's entertaining at best. I'll say this. They said that this is what was said. When President Biden and Kamala Harris went up to the White House, they walked up and the Marines had the gate shut in front of them, and Kamala Harris said, "You have to let us in, we presidents now." This is exactly how they said she said it. Technically this would be true if she's the vice president. It's a type of president. And so then the Marines said, "No, we're securing this facility and keeping it for the rightful owner," and they locked the gate. So really odd that every time that there's a rose garden something or another, that there's a guy down the street with a telescope that says nothing is going on at the White House. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. There's nobody there, but you see on TV that there's that this is months back, you know, that they were doing something at the Rose Garden. So he just looked out, just hey, well, I'll see what's going on in my little telescope. It was nothing, nobody was there, and the grass ain't been cutting forever. So the only airplanes they said were coming in and out of there were like black ops, you know, black helicopters. So I don't know of any of the truth of this. I know you could probably prove it by going down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and taking a look at the Capitol, at the you know, the White House. But some weird stuff's been happening, because you look on television and you see Biden in front of a camera, and they said that the green screen made his hand go through the camera. Somebody said that was pretty freaky. The one I saw was Biden was in front of a camera, and his hand went through the microphone. His hand went through the microphone on the other one. On the one I saw, the microphone was proper. It was in front of him, but he was green screened, and you could see around his body that shimmery line that when they green screen somebody shows up. If you look good, if you look close, you can see it. And behind him were these flags, and I don't even know that they were like so much American flags. It's hard to tell what type of flags they were, but they were so blurry and so distant, it looked like somebody zoomed as far as the camera could go on some flags that were standing up and that were like a quarter of a mile away. They were blurry, and then put him, and he's only supposed to be about 15 feet from these flags. That's not right. They should have came in a lot clearer. So even if they focused on him a lot more, those flags should have been a lot more in focus. So let me get some fresh air for a second. If you call it fresh air, there's been a whole lot of smoke. It finally has blown over. This truck stopped being exactly the clearest air, but there's been worse. At least nobody's got a bad injector going out. So a little bit of air. So anyways, there's been some weird videos, and the one that I saw was the 4th of July celebration. I'll try to put a link up on this. You can see it's obvious the green screen line around him, and it's obvious that those flags behind him should be a lot more clear. And then recently he went out and drove an electric Jeep around the White House, supposedly the White House, you know, front drive or something, but truthfully, a lot of people are thinking, because they've said that they've seen pictures of him in the Oval Office, but the trees in the background don't match up, but they do match up to Tyler Perry's little White House. That's what they're saying, that the trees don't match up. The actual trees at the White House are in a different place. So the video I looked at where he's driving that Jeep seemed kind of weird. I was looking at it and saying, is that a magnolia tree? Now, in Atlanta, you might find a magnolia tree. A little bit odd to find one of them in Washington. That's what threw my interest on that one. But to me, it was almost like watching a Barbie Jeep commercial. It was kind of stupid. It's like, oh, he gets in an electric Jeep and he drives around and, you know, go to the end of the driveway and leaves. I mean, is that such a big deal that he finally had the cognitive function to and the ability to hold a steering wheel? That's fine. And he did say that he used to be a truck driver. That was really funny, and I don't have a problem. Hey, everybody should look up to what gets things done. It's okay to have respect for the profession, and if he wants to have been a truck driver, they said he rode with somebody one time, but he said he was a truck driver. His memory's a little off. Give him some, you know. So seriously, they're saying, yeah, that definitely don't make him a truck driver. Well, look, if he wants to be a truck driver, he's probably got enough money. He could go and buy one and drive it anywhere he wants to. And seriously, there's worse things that he could want to have been if his memory served him correctly. You know what I mean? So I dig it. You know, I got respect for the profession myself. I do it. You know, nobody's mad at him. Ain't nobody mad at him if he can't remember straight and he thinks he used to be a truck driver. He also said some other things he used to do and whatever. So back to it though, the whole Jeep thing, and whether it was at a fake White House or not, is the thing that they're trying to get across is that they want all vehicles to be electric so that when the war pops off that we won't have a need for oil. Is that what they're trying to push? Like, because there's always a backstory. There's always some kind of a hidden message or propaganda or subliminal message in everything they do. And you really have to read between the lines, you know, like Trump saying that there was going to be a tsunami. Well, if you look at what the Poseidon does, there may be. And he was standing out in the rain on purpose and got videoed, and they were asking him, you know, he was saying basically the fresh air, fresh water and all this stuff, I guess saying that it wasn't nuclear caused by that. This is where I'm at. Leaders talk to each other in snide remarks on camera all the time. They give a dog a bone and they tote it. So to know what's really fixing to happen, you have to look at what they're talking about. And that's what started the whole QAnon thing, was trying to read into some of the stuff that they've said and actually predict it before they even say it, because someone's in the know. And for that, they said that it was a part of the military that was in, I think they said Langley, Virginia, that was doing that. And I could believe it either way. But there's supposed to be a website that the president set up since he lost his Twitter account. You know, here's where I'm at on this. Trump even said, somebody's running things up there, and it's, you know, it's not, basically alluded to that it's not Biden. So this leads me to this. When we pulled out of Afghanistan, and then we started a bombing campaign on all of the Taliban there, that pretty much proved it for me that that's not a president that ordered that. Simply because no president would want that on their reputation as having done that. However, it's a good military tactic, and it's what our military would do if they were in charge of things, and if nobody could hold them back, and if there wasn't, you know, too many rules of engagement and this and that. Really and truthfully, it's the best way to get your enemy to come out of a cave is to say that you're leaving. So all the enemies came out of caves, and now they're getting bombed. That's what's happening there. I'm not saying we're going back. I'm saying, though, that that's not something that any president would sign off on, because those bombs are indiscriminate. They're not tactical missiles and stuff. So I've been looking at it, and I think it's like this. I think that you got each president that has been in succession up until Donald Trump. Donald Trump was number 45. So, in the line of succession, I think that the history books will record it both ways. Some history books will say that the 46th president of the United States is Joe Biden. But then there will be some that will record it as being Trump was number 45, and then he might even be number 47, who knows. But number 46, the presidency was run by the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and Space Force, and don't forget about the Coast Guard. That's where I'm at on that. I really truly believe this, because if you look at what's happening, and anybody could go in there and, hey, Joe, here's an ice cream cone, sign this. Who knows how they're getting what they're getting, but they're getting what they want. So for the military to be getting what they want out of a Democratic president in itself, I dig it. I'm looking at it, and they keep making the right moves. And after the building fell in Miami, they turn around, at 1 o'clock, which depends on how you look at that. You could say it was a natural occurrence that seashells that were, ground up into pumice, they all, rejected the concrete they were stuck to for whatever. Seriously, you could say it didn't have enough lime in it. Whatever. So that's not what happened. And so at the same time in the morning at 1 a.m., Iran takes a hit. Well, now, right now, that's where we're at too, is there will be a war with Iran. There will be. And I'm looking at it like Israel has already been given the green light. I've got reports of that where I found online by the U.S. to just go ahead and bomb Iran. And they have been. And then they hit, I was looking at something where Lebanon was hit. There's so much in the Middle East right now, and basically Iran thinks that they can go shopping anytime an oil tanker goes by, that if they can, and this is what I think has happened here, and this is what I know to be that it can be done. Russia has the ability to shut off a ship, period. They can fly over it with a MiG, with a specially made thing that zaps everything, and all the electronics are fried, and they can't move. They don't know where they're at, and all they know is they're in a unguided piece of metal that floats, or displaces water is the correct term. They don't really float. They displace water. So this is how all these things happen. This is how those Marines were captured on that small boat, is that type of technology took that thing out, and then all of a sudden they're captured. This is how those big oil tankers stopped working all of a sudden, and they were reported in that they were not in control of their ship, and basically they had no control. So, but if you got a bunch of tankers that are heading towards the Strait of Hormuz, and they're going and they're pointed towards Iran, and Iran, I don't think that there's a bunch of Iranian soldiers lined up on the shoreline with polished brass shields like back in Greek and all that, when they caught those ships on fire off the coast with polished shields. I don't think that they're doing that with the technology that kills ships' navigation and ability to make their engines work. All the electronics being fried like an EMP. I don't think so. It is more likely, I don't even believe, even though Russia's gave him the same kind of, Su-400 plus, or whatever they want to call it, that took out their own civilian aircraft. That was genius, right? I don't even think that Russia would supply them with this weapon that takes out a ship's ability to be underway. I think that Russia flew over in a plane for them, took out 4 or 5 tankers, and they were supposed to keep floating until they were in Iran's national waters, not international waters, and then they could say, oh, you're in our national waters, we can take you over now because you shouldn't have been here, and we're going to seize this ship and put a platform on it, and we're going to make it into a military operations base to replace the one that caught on fire before. So not only are they throwing drones at things, but Iran has made the Strait of Hormuz its refrigerator. They go shopping there. It's their grocery store for ships. So when they need a new military ship, all they have to do is call Daddy Russia to go out there and fly over and take out their ability to be underway, and they keep floating, and then they're in their waters, and then oh, you went in our waters, so we're going to seize this ship. Sorry, everybody get off and go where you go, or be put in prison for a little while, and then we'll let you go after we get millions in ransom. And they'll take that ship, and then they have, so that they're shopping. They're shopping for military hardware. And that's what happened. Now, one of the ships wasn't hit so bad, so it was able to go back underway. The other 3 were completely, it's probably because they were in the direction of that airplane and somehow it didn't fry all their equipment. The only airplane that was overhead, that was found to be overhead by tracking, was that one, I think was from, oh man, what was the country? But it wasn't Russia. It was a different country, but that was it was a military plane, and they were able to track it, but it was reconnaissance. Before that is when likely the MiG flew over, took out all their electronics, and then Iran was able to step in with their net boats, and they had like 9 people board a oil tanker, and the oil tanker, the people on there are like, okay, what is this about? We're just people, we just want to haul fuel, what is this? And they basically wanted to know their true country of origin and who owns the ship and all this, instead of just running under the Panamanian flag they were under. That was the Asphalt Princess. That's the one that they got on and took. My understanding is they still have it. I don't know what happened afterwards. If it was British, they're going to take it. If it was Israeli, they'll definitely take it. If it was the United States, they would take it twice. They would take it, give it back, and take it again. That's Iran for you. So they're shopping for ships. I want to get some fresh air. Anybody want to say anything? I'm just sitting here talking. I'm not trying to monopolize the situation. I just want to tell this intel. And I will get into the Insurrection Act of what it was, what it is, and what it'll be in just a second here. It'll be loud for a second. I gotta light up a cigar and get some fresh air. Man. But they're calling our situation the devolution of government. I'll roll this back up. So they're calling our situation the devolution of government. And what it has to do with is the Insurrection Act of 1807. That's when they had, basically it expanded on a militia act. I think that was 1782 or 1792. 1792, that's right. Not, I keep thinking 1492. 1792 was the Militia Act, and then they changed it a little bit with the Insurrection Act of 1807. Now, the ability for the president to use this is severely limited. One, if the state asks for help, he can go in there and do that. Two, if the state does not want help and refuses help, if he says, okay, listen, you're looting and all, and that those are our people in the United States, and some of them are getting looted, and so they don't have the same rights as other people, and so that's a federal law, they have rights of other people, so we're going to go in anyway. And he can either call the National Guard or he can call a regular army, and he can take over. This has been used several times. It was used when After the Rodney King beating by police in California, there was a trial. A lot of people thought that the cops should have been convicted. They were not. They were acquitted. People had riots in the streets. It was a mess, and they sent in troops at that point because the governor asked for help. He asked for federal troops to stop the rioting and the burning of businesses and stuff. It also was used in, let's see, what was the other one? I think Bush used it once. I know there was looting under George Bush after Hurricane Hugo, but that was in a different, not a different country. It was in the Virgin Islands. That's right, Virgin Islands. Okay. So that was in 89 or 90. So when that happened, he used the Insurrection Act to basically overrule what's called Posse Comitatus Act of 1978. The Posse Comitatus Act says it takes an act of Congress before the government can send the military to enforce the laws of the United States into states. But if the states ask for it, then they can, and that's where the Insurrection Act says it's okay. And so the Insurrection Act, if it's enacted, basically makes it a situation where there is a pause, or what's the word, a overruling or whatever of the Posse Comitatus Act of 78. All right, so there was in Little Rock, Arkansas, when they didn't want to let them people go into the school and they didn't want to integrate schools, in like 57, like 57 Chevy, that's right, 57, that's when they, in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, that's why the president at the time, Johnson, would have been the president, Johnson, invoked it against the governor's wishes. Or let's see, was Johnson after that? No, Johnson did it in a riot in Detroit in like the 60s. So anyways, it's been done before. This has been done, but I don't know that President Trump did this and used this. He did, I think, use it after the George Floyd thing. He did that there. But as far as when he left office, to use it to continue government, I don't think he actually used that, but I think he might have wrote something else into law that was different. He may have put something else into law saying that, hey, we're going to have a continuance of government, same as it's always been. We're going to keep things running on a minimal basis, and because China, they know for sure, sent packets and packets of fake ballots intel to the certain kind of voting machines that were in certain states that were key swing states, or key states, not swing states, key states, and they affected the election. So the last election was affected by China and by those machines and by people who were bought off to allow it to happen, and they tried to stop it. They said they tried to stop it, but they couldn't stop it because there was help from the inside. So they're saying that there's all these military tribunals and all these people are getting hung, and they say that there's all kinds of theories. They're saying there's several different Hillarys because she's got a double, but one time she freaked out, they put a double out there. That's what showed that. All of them have like doubles they do for this stuff. It was really stupid. The woman was just standing out front and didn't even know what to say. So, and she couldn't even make it to the front of the hotel by the time, and she was way younger looking than Hillary, all this stuff. So they're saying, though, that there's another Biden. They're saying all kinds of stuff. And whatever has happened with the trafficking and the MK Ultra and all that stuff, I don't really keep up with much. I can't keep up with it. It's like way too high speed for me. I just know when there's a military movement and something happens in the Gulf, that could pop off a war, and so I put it up, you know, because people have a right to know. So for as far as the Insurrection Act, do I believe that they did the Insurrection Act? No, I think they did something even bigger. I think they did something completely different, because the Insurrection Act would have required for there to be a protest in a state, and then they have to, the president has to order a thing that says, a proclamation that says, okay, you need to disperse at once. And then if the people don't disperse, then which it could be so fast, but then he can say, okay, I'm gonna send in troops, but they don't have to wait for regular troops. There's National Guard in every state ready to go, so he can send them in to quell a riot or this kind of thing. It's basically anybody that's parading without a parade route, without a what do you call that when you ask for a, when you want to do a parade, you have to have a permit. So you have the free right to assemble, but if you're on a street, you have to have a permit, which nobody's going to give somebody to shut down a highway a permit. So I don't know why they thought they were doing okay when they were shutting down streets and stuff and some of that other stupid stuff that, I don't know what you call those, Antifa people. Yeah, that was crazy. And that was all set up and paid by somebody else. Nobody acts that way. You know, they're bussed in from other places. So if anybody's gotten anything out of this, I hope you have, but just know this. Truckers are on top of the news to a point. If we turn on the radio, we can be in touch. If not, you know, we could be autonomous, right? We don't need the news, because the news, like Mark Twain said, if you read the newspaper, or if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. We already know that it's biased, it's propaganda, it's slanted, and it's fake media and fake news. Puppies and kittens is the real part of it. It's just garbage. So we know what's going on day to day, company to company. We can spread news across CB, across the nation in 2 days flat. This is just a little something. And truthfully, they're pushing the wrong button if they think that they're going to force something onto someone who's been a truck driver. Half of them's ready to retire. Half of them. And we're already undermanned is what they say. That they, well, part of it is they need to raise freight rates, but yeah, they're messing with their supply line. So if anybody's got anything to say, go ahead and say it. I ain't even lit this cigar yet. I should have smoked this thing. I'm needing some fresh air, maybe some air. It's a hot day in the South, people. I'm needing some air. Then I'm gonna get off this thing. So like I said, I hope you got some information out of this. Hope it was in some way informative. And then you heard all the theories of it all. And I have to say this. I do know that if a president's term is interrupted by one thing or another or whatever, they can actually run 2 more terms. That's my understanding of things. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got my history wrong. Sometimes I can't remember all the dates. But if that's true, then he would still be the same number president, but technically he'd be number 45, half of number 46, and number 47, and then you could almost call it 48. You know what I'm saying? And then he could go out to California and be a 49er. I mean, either way. Either way. So people, I hope this was good. I'll check some comments here and then we'll get off this thing. I missed that other comment. Oh, Mr. Few. Okay, what's up, Icon? And, hard to read here. Mike Mulaney. See, I might have to cut this truck off here. It's going to shake my screen. I had to have some cold air. I'm going to get some ice cubes blowing here. And I'll read these comments in just a half a second. And have this cigar. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope you're doing better than I am. Because I always wish that on other people. I'm like that. You know? It's been kind of a kind of a rough year. But I'm like, in a way, I'm on the same wavelength anyhow as what Trump was that day. Hey, look, I got fresh water, fresh air. Rain don't bother me, it just cleans me off. You know. So hey, when it's raining, don't cry about the rain, just know that it's good for the crops. So let's see what we got here real quick, if I can make my eyes work here. Australia, it said that if COVID was never isolated, how the heck could they have a vaccine? It makes no sense. Yeah, and it wasn't, let's see, isolated, it was created. Yep. And hey, Icon. All right, so people, appreciate you showing up and showing out. There's gonna be a lot more that'll watch it later at different hours. A lot of the guys I know pretty much shut down at 4 p.m. and they get up at 4 a.m. I've been running odd hours, and I was supposed to run, and then they had me do something different, and I've got to get a washout. It's all a whole big mess. So some things held me up, but I got some things accomplished. So honestly, the way I see it, you know, life is a zero-sum game anyways. You can build the greatest monument to yourself, and 8 generations later, they will hate you so much they'll tear it down. It doesn't matter who you are. It really don't. Things will change. Everything will turn to dust. Even in the Bible, it says, no stone will be on, will sit upon another. They will all be crumbled. So don't think that your legacy will be a monument in stone. Don't think that your name on a bridge will be there forever, because then the bridge will fall on someone and kill them. They'll rebuild it and they'll name it after that guy. That's just how things go. So if you think that you'll be memorialized forever, al infinitum, you're only fooling yourself. Rome only lasted 200 and something years. Most countries have lasted about 200 years. We're lucky to have been an exception so far, and I hope it continues. As long as the people up top will keep quiet, the people in the bottom could keep rowing their oar and keep us headed in the right direction, because we're steering from below decks, people. And if the companies are stupid enough to mandate stuff that's going to run off their employees, let them do it. Let them do it. But I can guarantee you there's going to be a shortage from that place. They'll have to rename it. Before they'll get more truckers there, they'll have to rename it. And they do that all the time. They change names of companies. They do stupid stuff, and they'll change the name of the company. So, I really hope not. Maybe they'll watch this. Maybe somebody somewhere will say, hey, you know, you might want to listen to this guy. He's talking about stuff. Or maybe someone else will give them the word. Or maybe they've just lost, 80 drivers in a day. And maybe this guy's going to hit me. Man, this is no good. This is way not good. Yo, bro. Don't hit my truck. Yeah, you go that way. Don't go this way. I mean, I don't know what to say. For real. Bro. See, this is how nighttime goes in a truck stop, too. This is why you got to stay up late sometimes, depending on where you're parked. And this is why you got to be ready to hit the horn to make him not hit you, because he's, blindsided trying to hit somebody. This guy, is what I ain't trying to make nobody famous. If he hits me, he's going to be so famous. But we'll let him go. So, I even got a truck in front of me that's kind of blocking up. We're packing it in tight. We're out of parking at these truck stops, people. Okay, I'll show you what he's trying to do. If you just want to watch. I mean, he's almost trying to hit me. But here's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get... I just lost my mount completely because that thing's so tight. Trying to get over into there. And I've got trucks parked doubled up in front of those parking spots, blocking those drivers in. There's tripled up. There's 3 trucks. There's no parking anymore. So Congress, they lied to you when they said they did some kind of a thing and said, look, we got more coming in. And I had to pay $15 for this spot. I didn't expect to have to pay for it. So just so you know, There is no parking. So if you're in Congress, they lie to y'all all the time. This was another thing they lied to you about. There's no parking. So whatever kind of we did a study and study this. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no parking. And that's what makes it tight too, is other drivers having to double up in front of you. And I don't mind that they stay there. I'm like, I'm not moving till morning. Go ahead and park and block me in. That's fine. No problem. But if the guy next to me's got to leave, you better move, because I ain't trying to hear his horn. So we all try to work it out, and they go and walk and say, hey, you leaving? Are you going to be leaving anytime soon? Are you going to be here for 10? You know, and we work it out. Just like we're going to work it out where if companies require us to do things, well, you have to have permits. You have to have everything up to date with your paperwork. You have to have a logbook. And you have to be working for a company that you like. So if you don't like the place, well, then you change that. We put everything in order and then prioritize. We'll write it down and make a little note. So by November the 1st, there will be a mass exodus. And in some sectors of the economy, there'll be plenty of drivers. In others, not so much. You know, it is what it is. So you just got some news that the news won't tell you, that's way earlier than what you've been told and what you know about, that you couldn't possibly know, people. And like I said, I know that a lot of the drivers at 4 a.m. is going to be watching this, going to be like, you got to be kidding me with that. It's going to be everywhere. I'm telling you, this is not just scuttlebutt. This is from real drivers, and one was a Tyson guy, one was next to a Tyson guy, and one had just talked to a Tyson guy. Did I say that? Oh, I was talking about Mike Tyson. The company I'm talking about, though, rhymes with Nyson. Nyson, people. Okay, so always gonna be a Nyson, all right. Yeah, but I was talking about the boxer. You know, the guy that goes and knocks people out. It's scheduled for 12 rounds, but it's gonna end early, kind of thing. That guy, that for real, he will knock you out. He had a little bit of a breathing problem. He had to go in there and knock him out quick. You know, he was a good fighter. He learned how to, you know, get it done quick. There's gonna be some things and they're gonna knock themselves out. They're gonna get it done quick if they do that. So anyways, I'm gonna make this guy famous. Everybody wants to be in my video. Here we go. Okay, this right here, this guy, you see, I'm the only one that does not want to be in my videos. So he's famous now for that. So God bless you, people. I'm gonna get off this thing. So I don't think that there was a oh man, what is the word I searched for? The word, it's a, not a surrendering, but a when they make it invalid, the Posse Comitatus Act. Golly, I'll think of the word and I'll type it in the comments. People, God bless you. Have a good night. And I hope you're not at a company that's forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. And just know that you're a person, you're a human, you're on this planet. And, you know, some of you are part angel. Understand where you come from. You have a right to your own body. They don't want to talk about, they'll talk about, oh, a woman's got a right to kill a kid inside of her. But they don't want to talk about the human's, you know, right to its own body, that they don't have to take a jab, right? You ain't heard them talk much about body rights lately, because then people would think in that way, right? Yeah, that's your regularly scheduled mind programming. That's what you get. So, but we could talk about it here. So people, I'm out. God bless you. Peace.